Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss pre-market video for Wednesday, December 4th, 2019. I am Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. You'll notice here that the ES has bounced off of the overnight lows here, price rallying at around 2 a.m. here from the lows and rallying up to about 3108s. Since then, price has been holding above 3100 in a small box. And 3100 is the key zone to watch. This is what I mentioned to our group after in the last hour of the trading day yesterday, is that we're going to keep an eye on the previous session's low and also 3100. If price comes up to 3100 first, an inability to stay above 3100 would be very telling, and that could lead to selling pressure the rest of the day or another leg. If price can hang and stay above that level, then perhaps this buy the dip is going to work out. The 3094 level was very important. We closed below it yesterday, but I mentioned there was still an opportunity to reject it. We don't necessarily have to go to the previous low, but it was a pretty solid move yesterday, and if there's a failure to hold 31 and we close back below 3094, that could be a significant indication that we are headed to that low of 3033. So this is going to be a very important zone here to watch. 3100, keep an eye on that zone. Failure to hold that level could open up a retest of the overnight lows. Staying above that zone suggests that we could see more of a bounce. And again, after we saw the October pullback, it was just a 2-day pullback. We bounced, another 1-day pullback, and then it had been 6 weeks higher ever since. Not that we'll see the same type of price action, but we haven't seen many big multiple day pullbacks since the beginning of August, and that was only 5 days. Since then, we've had 1 2-day here, and everything else has been 1 day all the way through. Maybe this day here. So we've had a little bit of a pullback here. Is this going to be the next buy that takes us through the 3150s and higher? So we'll continue to watch 3100 as we head out through the rest of the day. Here's the NQ. You'll see with the NQ, very similar price action. This thing is pulled back as well. It closed below the previous month's midpoint. Again, I mentioned that's going to be a very important zone, because if we fail to hold that area, we open up the previous actually the previous month's low. And so what I mentioned again yesterday afternoon to our group, watch 8300. If we pull back to 8300 and start to fail, that could be a lower high that eventually leads to a retest of the day's low, or perhaps even new lows ahead. So a failure to hold 8300 will be very important here today, and again, continue to watch that midpoint. Overall, this thing has been very bullish, and so the pullback here over the last few days provides a discount to current price that could lead to another bounce opportunity higher. This thing remains above the breakout point here, so everything suggests more strength. Even if we were to drop to the previous month's low, that could provide another rejection opportunity for a continuation higher. So right now, near term weakness has been in effect, but medium term strength may come back into the picture after this pullback. All right, let's take a look at crude oil. Now, crude oil here is currently higher. This one had a 2-day range yesterday that was pretty narrow for the most part, and now we're above that 2-day range and pushing through 56.83. The fact that we're pushing through that high suggests that we could bounce back toward recent highs somewhere in this zone right here. So that's a good target between 58.50 and 58.75 recent highs. Again, that's going to be a very good target here if price can stay above, say, 56.5. So, you know, pullbacks into that zone need to be held for a continuation. We'll see if price can push higher and stay above that zone. API came out yesterday afternoon at a draw of 3.7 million. Today we have crude oil inventories later on, and that will give us you know, a little bit more of a nudge here as well. So right now, this market remains within the channel. It continues to hold that 55 level, which is very important. Failure to hold that level will open up much more weakness ahead, but right now still channeling a little bit higher and pushing through 2-day highs suggests that we could continue higher over the next 1 to 3 days back toward 58.50. Lastly, taking a look at gold futures. Gold has been interesting because it had been coiling up for quite some time and is now seeing a breakout from that 10-day narrow range. Yesterday, big breakout move and was able to hold those gains the rest of the session. I mentioned to our group that any pullback below 1480 and as deep as 1475 could provide an opportunity to buy the dip for a continuation higher. Again, the 10-day range suggested a breakout move of about 40 to 50 points. We calculated about 45, so that gave us 1505 as a target. And then you have the low of the week here and a strong reversal here so far heading into the midpoint of the week. And from the low of the week, that would suggest a continuation to 1495.90, call it 1496. So basically buying anything below 1480 can get you 1495 and perhaps higher ahead. So right now, price currently trading 83.70. Overall, this market has seen lower highs here. So while we have called for a bounce here and a continuation over here, where I thought it was failing, but it turned around, stayed in range. Again, we're not going to overshoot the upper target because it has not been pushing through these highs at all since it failed back here in August, September. So right now, looking for more near-term strength, but that could be capped once it reaches 1500. All right, that is it for now. We'll see how this plays out the rest of the session. Good luck, trade well, and I'll see you in the trading room. Take care.